my body just starts moving. Okay, I've got the camera in my hand, and I'm just, going with the flow, moving as much as I can without bumping into anybody else. And it actually serves to energize what I'm doing. Okay, it puts me more in the flow. It doesn't take me out of it. It just puts me more in the flow. And what it does is, it not only makes the connection between me and the dancer, because now it's just not about me and the camera, it's about me, the camera, and the dancers.
Today is Monday, March 18th, 2024. Who are we speaking with?
My name is Kenneth Nelson. I'm also known as Ken Arts in social media.
Fantastic. Love your photos of Coney Island House, Party on the Boardwalk. How did you discover these parties?
In 2004, I was at Coney Island as a street shooter, and I went there to actually cover the Mermaid Parade. And lo and behold, there was a DJ or a series of DJs playing house music on the boardwalk that afternoon. And so after I spent a couple of hours photographing at the Mermaid Parade, I sauntered on over to the music where the music was playing, and lo and behold, the Black Underground was playing. And from then on in, and I think they, at that point in time, they were there on a regular basis, but it was the first time that I happened upon them. And so it was an indication that this is something I'm going to come back to, because there was an indication that they would be back later on in the season. Coney Island House, of course, is specific. It encompasses what it is. It's on Coney Island, and it's house music. So that's how I came up with the series. And what it is I love photographing people. And I love photographing people in their environments. And for the most part, I love photographing them when they're not posing for photographs, which gives a certain sense of authenticity to the images. And so, and of course, I absolutely actually love dance music. So when I combine those two things together, here's what we end up with, which is Coney Island House. A series of images that I've been photographing since 2004, and have amassed quite a great deal of photographs. And so we'll go through some of what we're seeing now. What we're going through now is a series of PDFs that I decided to share back in 2022. Of course, this was just after the pandemic started to subside. And I realized that all those years I've been photographing, I sort of shared some of the images with the people, with the community, but I didn't actually give them something to have. And so what I did was I created a series of PDFs, and I just put the notification out there, hey, listen, I have these images of the community. And if you'd like to have a copy of these PDFs, just send me an email, and I'll ship the PDFs off to you. So over the course of 2 weeks, I shipped the 3 PDFs, one in one day, one a week later, and another week later, for those who wanted them. And this was on Facebook, and so quite a few people, asked for them. Not as much as I'd hoped, but nonetheless, quite a few did. And so the PDFs were done in a fashion similar to just a small magazine, really quick personal magazine, and with sort of my anecdotes and my thoughts and ideas about what the images are. So as you can see on the screen here, the notation says, dance and shake your tambourine. I forgot this brother's name, but I know his name, I just don't remember. Shaking your funky tambourine is one of the many ways in amplifying the dance vibe, adding an extra oomph in syncing yourself to the rhythms. So this is just, again, these are unposed, authentic, and right up there, so you can feel the essence, the energies that are pouring out from people. Here we have Matrix, also known as Catherine, in the foreground, and that's Beverly in the background. On one of the days in the summertime, just sharing some moments. Matrix usually has a smile on her face, and she's very personable, and mostly everybody knows Matrix as Kimberly. I'm sorry. So, and again, Beverly is also another regular out there. So they're going to be in there. If you're out there and you see them, you'll definitely see them in my photographs here. This is a series of 3. I put on a page 3 up. Just another, again, if you have any thoughts or ideas or questions about these particular images, just let me know. I could keep talking for a while about them. So the thing about this is that what was interesting about this is I tried to really showcase what was happening on the boardwalk, right? So whether it was wherever it was in a boardwalk, anywhere from, not necessarily down in Brighton because you'd never have something that far down, but anywhere from like West 8th Street up to West 26th Street, where, you'll have DJs playing. And there'll be a whole roster of DJs out there throughout the years. And so from time to time, we'll catch those DJs. And so what's particular about this one is that there used to be that little place off of Stillwell and right before you get to the boardwalk that had live music. And so although this wasn't on the boardwalk, it was still Coney Island proper. And so I included in this series called Coney Island House. Here, Elizabeth, also known as DJ That Girl Curly, dancing with a partner. I didn't get her name, but again, just exuberant, having fun, and all the things that are energetic about music. What I thought was interesting about here is, of course, in the right-hand side, you have Marty. He's a Coney Island House fixture. You have Ice in the upper left-hand corner, who's a hell of a dancer. And, of course, a young protege of someone out there who's just dancing their butt off, being a young one who's just getting herself together. Here's D. And again, this is the color ones that you see here are usually taken after from about 2016 from now. Anything that's black and white is usually from 2016, 2015 and before. So this is Dee just on the boardwalk and in one of her moments. And one of the key features about being out there is just trying to make sure I don't disturb the vibe. That's the last thing I want to do. I don't want to knock somebody out of their vibe. So what I do is I just remain as quiet as possible, as stealth as possible, and just kind of zone in on the energy of the dancers. Anthony and Bob. Oh, this is rest in peace, my brothers. Here we have Kevin on the left in the back and Roddy on the right. They passed away. So definitely rest in peace, my brothers. And this is actually referencing the first day I was out there back in 2004. Again, I didn't recall the brother's name for the DJ, but definitely the DJs from the Black Underground. And over time, some of the DJs that made a real presence in Coney Island, here's one of them, Ray Vasquez. Definitely one of the preeminent guys out there, and I think he's become basically synonymous with the Coney Island dance movement out there on the boardwalk. Just a perspective in 2004 of what the vibe was like. This is a widescreen. Just what the crowd looked like at that point in time. It was a healthy, definitely energetic crowd. Deuce Martinez. I think this was the first time I was introduced to Deuce Martinez, and basically he blew me away. His skills on the decks it just blew me away. Preston Brown, DJ Preston Brown, rest in peace, another brother. Gone too soon. Roberto and Vernon, Parquet and Powder. They made their presence known as well. Kervin Mark and Ray McHale out there on the boardwalk. Justine. This is Justine, one of the most kindest people on the boardwalk you'll ever meet. Brings out ice pops for everybody, spritzes them in the heat of the summer. And I remember I caught this when she was walking towards me, and I was just full of joy because she was vibing at something. I don't remember what she was reacting to, but it was definitely something playing on the speakers that she was into. And I just thought this was just the epitome of the vibe of house. And this is the end of the second volume. For some reason, the presentation here is not in order, but nonetheless, Coney Island House is a photographic homage to the house community. House music is a worldwide movement. Shown here, the part that is Coney Island, a continuing visual history. A heartfelt thank you to all the DJs and those house heads making this photographic essay possible, whether or not I've ever taken your photograph. This is the front cover of volume 3. That's John. We got Mickey, we got Charlie in the shot. Again, Preston Brown. I love his moniker. His thing was people loving music and music loving people. That's his motto. He had it imprinted on all his tees and hats and stuff like that. So I just thought that was a great motto to have. Beautiful. This was the second time. So this was, yeah. So here we have Daniel, Mickey, and Roddy. Going too soon. Just feeling the energy of dancers without having to identify your faces. I think it exemplifies this. Movement, figures moving in space, energy. This is Roberto, hustling. I don't know the young lady's name, but I think they just actually met to dance on the boardwalk. In the bottom left is Lisa and Kevin. There's Beverly again. Just sheer energy. You know? Okay, yeah. What do you know? The baby powder goes up. Now, the thing about this one is that, you know, there's a certain level, there's hamming it up for the camera, and this was one of those times when they handed up for the camera, but they were out there dancing. She was out there dancing, but nonetheless, she was definitely giving me a pose for the camera, but I thought this pose was very geometrical and very interesting photographically. it's Nicola on the right, gentleman on the right. I don't know the young woman's name there. On the photograph on the left is Ice, and I don't know the person he's dancing with or her name. And so later on, another series of images, panoramics, but this one in 2007. The energy doesn't subside; it just keeps going. You know. What I also like about this is that the atmosphere is very unique for Coney Island. It is the Coney Island atmosphere. And so when you're at Coney Island, you're not only getting house heads, you're getting the people who come out there for the amusement parks, and they're stopping on by. You get the tourists, you get a whole smorgasbord of people, and they sort of melt into one. And I think it's evident in the photographs so far, but I think it shows here too. Of course, some of the faces are familiar here from 2007, but I think you get the idea that it's just not dancers who are here, but a whole set of people. DJS. I love the shirt, of course. I love house music. The dirtier the house, the better the music. I believe that's the last shot on that. And this is actually the first PDF I made, and the first one I sent out. This, if there's anything that exemplifies to me what it's like to be on the boardwalk during the summertime, house, this is it. The energy, the vibe, the community, just amazing. The way to keep your moves smooth, sprinkle baby powder onto the floor when you're dancing. It will keep your soul from gripping. S-O-U-L, soul. Oh man, this is probably, oh man, it's hard to say because there's so many images I love. And if you were to ask me to pick one of the most favorite ones from the series, I'd say this is, if not the one, this is probably one of the top 5 of the 20 years that I've been out there. And it exemplifies family, it exemplifies community, it exemplifies energy, it exemplifies house music. That's Angel with Dee Dee and Dee Dee's grandkid. And just look at the hands, just look at the hands, okay? I think even Angel made a comment about this on Facebook, as the protector of the family. Of course, they're not together, but again, in dance they are. And Dee Dee's hands is touching him, but also touching the baby. So that's just pure sharing of energy. Oh man, it's interesting. So I think that's Goo on the right, and with Barbara, and just having a lot of fun. They were doing their own cipher, if you want to call it. So that's how that was. And in the bottom left, Teddy on the conga. He passed away. So rest in peace, Teddy. Much love to you. So I think that when we look at it that way, it's definitely a record of those who've been involved, and those who are no longer with us that are memorialized to some degree. Young and old. I mean, there's nobody here who's really old, but just these, that's Jackie in the front, by the way, DJ Jackie Jedi. So she's there, and I think this was back in, oh my goodness, it's got to be 2007, I believe. So it's a long time ago. Well, relative to your age, I would suppose, but so cool. I just think the humor and the camaraderie and the relationships between people is kind of interesting. The photograph on the left, of course, the woman is Gina, and this was a good friend of hers, and they had just bumped into each other and began dancing on the boardwalk, and took a couple of portraits of them, but so, yeah. And photograph on the left is funny. Oh man, again, Disco Tony is a fixture on the boardwalk as well. Passed away a few years ago. But I thought that they just met on the boardwalk, so that was a cool idea. They don't know each other. They just started dancing on the boardwalk. So again, I think as I'm going through this, this would have to probably be again one of my top 5 photographs from the series. I just think it exemplifies being on the boardwalk and dancing in the iconic Wonder Wheel. Yeah, one of my top 5. That's Kevin.
Talk to us about, let's go back to the other photo, previous one. Can you go back?
Go ahead. Let's talk about.
Yeah.
Which one?
Can you talk to us about your shooting process at Coney Island? What time do you get there? What time is peak time for you to get the magic photos? Is every week banging, or are some weeks like you get no photos and some weeks are amazing? What happens when it rains? Talk to me.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I guess in the early days, you can the DJs can set up as early as 12, and for the most part, they just stayed as long as they wanted to. It's about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, the Parks Department decided to cramp down on amplified music at a certain time. So they shut it down from 12 to 6, and then it went from 2 to, I think it's the last couple of years, it went down from 2 to 6. So when I was at the height of it, when I was going out there, I'd be out there as early as possible. Not really before the music starts, but if the music was supposed to start at 12, then I'd get there at 12:30. And being a street shooter and being there to photograph, I didn't bring a flash with me, so I never was there to photograph after sundown because the light just went away. And flash gives off a different feel. So I never offered to photograph after sundown, although the energy might have been equally as high even after I left. But I never really stayed past sundown. So in the summer times, that could be anywhere between, I guess, I can leave as early as 7 or as late as 9. And the weather really didn't interrupt whether I would go or not. Because I would always be able to either photograph the dancers who were dancing in the rain, or I would be able to photograph whatever else was happening on the boardwalk at that time. So music would start depending on, again, some DJs were right on time, some DJs were early. So I would get there at 12, and some DJs were scheduled for 12, and they would be there at 11:30. The music would already be playing. Sometimes I can get there at 12. The DJs just got there, so they wouldn't set up. They wouldn't actually start until 1. But that was par for the course. It was no big deal to me, really, or no big deal to almost anyone. the energy levels usually, and again, so depends on who is there. You know, you bring out the likes of Sting, Jelly Bean, you'd get people there in droves, and they would just be there. You know, some of the other DJs, they had their following and their core following, so the core community, they would be there. So once you get the likes of Sting, you'd get and he'd bring his equipment, so it wasn't a small setup. So he would bring his equipment and there would be a lot of people. Jelly Bean was usually there as a guest for one of the other producers and DJs, but nonetheless, when Jelly Bean was on the postcard, people showed up. And again, this is not to say that people didn't show up for other people as well, but they did. So the energy levels usually started, of course, when DJs start playing, the energy level is pretty low. A couple of people on the dance floor, people are just getting in, people just getting started. The chairs are being set up around the dance floor. People are arriving, getting a drink on, whatever they're imbibing with. And they're just meeting up with everybody else who's showing up on the boardwalk. Somewhere, if you start at 12, somewhere around 3 o'clock, that's when things start to pick up. DJs start to, and again, of course, you have an opening set, you have a mid set, you have an ending set, depending on who the DJs are. So the opening set was usually, of course, the crowd was just getting into it. So as when I get there, 2 people on the dance floor, 2 hours, 3 hours into it, that's when the energy started. Right at, if you're going to later on at night, 6 o'clock is, and again, depending on what the DJ's playing, how they're playing, what they're playing, and again, the crowds. And again, the atmosphere is not only of what's happening with house heads who are showing up for the DJ, but it's also about what day it is in the summertime. Is it Memorial Day? If it's Memorial Day, you're going to get a super crowd. If it's July 4th, you're going to get a big crowd there. You're going to get energy from all the people and tourists and people going to the beach. And, that's why you got this amazing amount of people on the boardwalk, just all involved, all into it, creating that vibe there.
Awesome. Let's go to the next photo. This is beautiful also. Tell us about technical aspects. What camera are you shooting with? What's your shooting ratio? Do you shoot 500 shots in an hour? Are you waiting in the corner for the perfect shot for 75 minutes until you get that one shot? Are you shooting film or digital? And how do you know when you got the shot?
Okay. So I'll just go in order. When I first came on the scene, I was shooting with a 5-megapixel digital camera, and I realized that that just really wasn't going to cut it. At that same time, I had a medium format camera, and at that time, I processed my own film. So I was shooting mainly black and white. That's that's why you see most black and white in here, because the majority of what I photographed was during those years when I was photographing with film. So let's say that any image from 2005 through 2017, if it's black and white, it's film, and it's film that I shot with a few dedicated type cameras. This particular camera is a Hasselblad X-Pan 2. It's basically a panoramic camera, so it shoots in widescreen. So the way you see this image on screen is the way the film is, the ratio. So I think it's a 16:9 or something like that. So panoramic. So it's considered a panoramic camera. And so I bring out what I can, photograph what I can. The thing about this particular one is that this camera said if you're shooting in panoramic mode, you're shooting with 35 millimeter film. and you get 21 shots to the roll as opposed to the 36, because it's shooting double wide on a roll of film. So it's taking up 2 frames of 35 millimeter film to get each shot. So that's what's coming out again. It's black and white, and I'm photographing it, black and white, processing the film, scanning it myself on a flatbed scanner. And if I have the opportunities to, I have the capabilities of printing out these images on black and white paper. So this is the X-Pen. Another camera that I shot with that you may see images later on with is actually one of the hardest cameras you would think to photograph with. Now, it's a medium format 6x7, right? So I was going for the resolution on most of them. And so we know that medium format gives you that resolution. But it's also a manual focus camera. So all the cameras I'm shooting with are manually focused. So that means that there's no autofocus there. I'm moving with the subject, going in, going out, moving back and forth, either grabbing focus, losing focus as I move, pulling back. Again, it's not an easy thing. And it was funny because I always took it for granted that it was just what we do, right? And then one of the other photographers out there, Jean Marine, said, "This dude is photographing manually," you know? And I'm like, it's nothing to me. But, I didn't realize that, no, that's pretty unique and hitting focus, So I was like, okay, I'll take that credit then, and I won't discount the fact that it's pretty unique and pretty unusual.
Awesome. Yeah, let's keep talking while you're going through how many more photographs do you have?
Oh man, we can go on for a while.
Okay, so keep going through the photographs, and as you cycle through, I'll ask you questions as we go, rather than questions to the end.
Yeah, you'll see these, and I'm just going to pull this back a bit. Give me a sec. Got to pull this back. And we'll start to go. Okay, let me just stop sharing for a sec.
Okay.
Okay. And bring up the other one. You have something you want to ask me? I can sort of.
Sure. What's the biggest challenge of photographing Coney Island?
Ooh.
Is it the sun? Is it the alcohol? People spilling alcohol on your camera? Is it some people getting mad? Yo, why are you taking a photo of my girl? Like, what do you encounter? What are the challenges of photographing Coney Island dancers?
Then, ooh.
If there's more than one challenge, talk about all of them. Oh, this is gorgeous.
Okay. The hardest part is, one of the hardest part is disturbing the vibe. Okay? You don't want to disturb the vibe because then you'll get pushback. A lot of people don't want to be bothered by someone with a camera in their face. And the unique thing about the way I photograph is I don't photograph with a long lens. I photograph with a very short lens, 35 millimeter, maybe even a 28. So I'm up in there, okay? I don't think you can get the energy and the vibe shooting from 150 feet away with a zoom lens or a telephoto. You just can't do it, So you just got to get there and be in there with the short lens, the 28, the 40. Those are the 2 lenses that I had, and the 30. And so in this one, it's a 28. So you're in there. And well, we're not in this particular image. We're no longer at Coney Island. We're actually at Soul Summit in Fort Greene. I just again, as if you've been to Soul Summit, you're in Soul Summit, and yeah, it sort of puts Coney Island in a way to the back burner in terms of just participation, because these are the house heads who come to listen to the music and come for a Soul Summit. In this particular instance, I guess you could also say there are certain advantages to being at Coney Island that are not advantageous to being at Soul Summit. One is, it's again, like I said, I don't shoot with a flash. I don't photograph with a flash. So the light has to be there. If you're on Coney Island, there are no trees blocking the light. So you get all that daylight hitting everybody equally. You get the harsh shadows of the sunlight in the afternoon, but it's all well lit. Here in Fort Greene Park, it's different because on a sunny day you get hard shadows, and in the middle of the summertime you just don't get enough light to photograph with in terms of quality. I don't like photographing with high ISOs, so it's not like I prefer not to shoot at 3200. If at all, I want to keep it between 100, 200, and maybe 800 maximum ISO. And I don't like, and the advantageous part about that is I don't like photographing at f16 or f11. My sweet spot is usually about 5.6, maybe even f2, so that I can isolate the subjects in focus. So that the information and concentration is on them. Give me a sec. I thought I had this up. Okay, yeah, this is it. All right. So let's go here.
Another beautiful photograph.
Oh man, yeah, brother's so cool. Brother's so cool.
Now, question, controversial question for you. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're photographing the vibe, energy is great, and then they play your song. What do? Do you put down the camera, or
No.
do you keep shooting?
No.
Even though it's your song.
I keep shooting. Man, okay. If they play almost anything by Black Coffee, Superman, oh man, or any of the classics, it only fills the energy. It is the same. It's the same vibe that the dancers get when their song comes on, their cut comes on. I get the exact same vibe, no doubt. Okay, I get the chills running up and down my spine. I get a little bit nervous, and my body just starts moving. Okay, I've got the camera in my hand, and I'm just going with the flow, moving as much as I can without bumping into anybody else. And it actually serves to energize what I'm doing. Okay, it puts me more in the flow. It doesn't take me out of it. It just puts me more in the flow. And what it does is, it not only makes the connection between me and the dancer, because now it's just not about me and the camera. It's about me, the camera, and the dancers. Okay, because I'm no longer just. Actually, to be honest with you, I'm never an outside participant. I'm always in there. Okay, and if someone, and again, there's a double facet there. I'm always interested in getting the authentic energy of the dancer, and I don't want to disturb them. And sometimes they'll notice me. And what I'll do is I'll give them a wink and a nod, and we'll vibe for that split second. and was like, that's the connection right there. It's like, yeah, I got you, I did you, but it's beautiful, you know. That energy, we're both vibing off the same cut, you know. Like, again, sure, follow me. You put on follow me. Some people have heard it so often. It's like, yeah, but come on, it is what it is. It's a classic. Okay.
Talk to me about oh, this is another beautiful shot. Talk to me about the rise of cell phones. How has the rise of amateur photographers with their iPhones impacted what they do? Do they get in front of you and block your shot? Do they disturb you? Does it disturb the vibe? Talk about that.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because, you know, again, I've been photographing again since 2004. So it really didn't start to be a major concern, and I'm not saying that it's a major concern, but it is. Sometimes it can be a concern. Somewhere around again, 2010 maybe is when it started to be a concern. When I noticed it started to rise, because again, the iPhone was originally conceived in 2007, so it took a couple of years for that to hit, and I started to notice it, but it was never a problem in 2010, and I work around it. They don't bother me that much, although they have a presence. What actually kind of is more of an issue for me is I tend to want to correct them in their orientation because they're usually using portrait. And I just want to say, put it in landscape, you know, at least do that, you know. And I mean, again, from time to time, I've pulled out my iPhone and I've recorded the video, but I don't really take photographs, and because although the quality of the iPhones and the phones of the last couple of years have been great and they equal a lot of other cameras, professional cameras, I just can't separate myself from the notion that I like the ergonomics, I like the feel of photographing with a real camera, not a flat camera that you sort of have to look at a screen for. That's another one of the things I kind of find interesting is the need to look at a screen. Of this day, I still don't enjoy looking at a screen to take a photograph. I actually like looking through the viewfinder. You know, give me the viewfinder all the time. Now, there are some benefits to looking at the screen because you could frame it up easier. But if you're following a moving person, it becomes iffy. You know, because what you're doing is there's that lag time between the time they're moving and you see them moving with your eye. You got to now make the connection with your hand, and so you got to now follow with your eye, from your eyes to your hand, and move along with the subject. That takes time, and meanwhile, you've now off-centered your subjects, and you've probably lost the framing. You'll have to get it back, but nonetheless, still that's that lag of time. When you're looking through the viewfinder, it's a totally different thing because the camera is up to your eye, and you're following them every step of the way. It's instantaneous. You don't see, you know, that lag. There is none. You're looking at them through the camera, not on the screen.
Let's go to the next photo.
Yeah. Oh man, I just love this type of perspective. It's one of my perspectives called frame of view. Actually, I'll be posting something on my Substack about that project, where I'm not photographing at the height of you know, standing level. I love photographing from off the ground because it just gives a different perspective. It showcases the movement of the feet, but it also just showcases a different perspective and gives people elevation and height, gives them more prominence in the photographs than they normally do. So it's just one of the tactics and things to do. That's one of the techniques that photographers rely on when photographing. Oh man, teach the children. Yes, teach them every way you can. Oh man, brother was just teaching these guys how to do a step, and they could be twins. I don't know, but just the authenticity in learning, the authenticity in just teaching the young ones. I just like the reaction of the person in the upper left-hand corner. I don't know what reaction to give to that, but it's just authentic, man. I just love it. Love it. There's that photograph from the PDF that I put out there. So this is out there.
This is pure magic.
Yeah.
Pure magic.
Lisa, yeah. Yeah.
Another question for you.
Yeah.
What is your intention when you photograph?
To be deliberate in being authentic with what I'm seeing. Never to cover it up with my preconceived perceptions of what it's supposed to be. Now, it is what it is because, it is what it is, right? But I don't gloss things over with filters. I don't gloss it over with blurriness. You're documenting a place and time with some context in people further down the road seeing this, relating to it, and understanding in a clear, visually concise way what it is they're seeing. If I were to blur this shot in any way to give it some sort of more movement than it does have, then I wouldn't say it would be less successful. It would just be competing with the authenticity of the image itself and what the image is supposed to evoke from the dancers. The dancers is the important part.
Got it. Next photo.
Oh man, it's very easy to be disconnected in a way from the images that you take because you're out there being as objective as you can be, but yet being part of the community in which you're photographing. And so balancing those two is kind of interesting because, and the reason why I'm focusing on that part is, when I took this photograph, I knew what I was doing, I knew what I was seeing, and for context, I believe this photograph is, the photograph is from 2008, right? And so from time to time, what'll happen is and again, this is a black and white image, so I was photographing with a 6x7 medium format camera. And it's a rangefinder, so I'm manually focusing here. And I'm looking through the viewfinder and I'm just following the dancer. I'm doing what they're doing. If they move left, I'm moving left. If they move right, I'm moving right. If they crouch down, I'm crouching down. I'm keeping them in the center of the frame to maintain visibility of their actions and their movements. And when I got home, I usually process the film within a day or two. But sometimes it can go weeks, maybe months before I actually scan the negative, right? And so I lose the memory of what I saw. And so I have to, when I scan it, I then am reminded of what I did see, right? And in the negative, when you process, you get an idea, but you don't see the positive image from it. You see the negative. In other words, the reversed image, the image reversed. And so it was only recently that I re-engaged with this particular image and the energy that it evokes and the emotion that's contained within it. It's palpable.
Absolutely. I totally see that photograph as magic. What does house music mean to you?
Oh man,
Next photo, oh, perfect. This is beautiful, beautiful.
yeah. House music means community. House music means breaking down the walls. House music means internalizing or envisioning your internal compass. It means relationships with others. It means communicating with others authentically. It means being real, you know? Yeah, and hopefully to what I just said it means to me is what I hope comes across in the images, you know? Because, we're only human, we're fallible to some degree, but, I just, that's always the hope. And I believe that we as photographers, we can always use the feedback, right? If you appreciate something that you see, say so. And as a photographer, what I want to make sure I do is elevate the images that I take beyond just a standard image. I want to make sure that they're not seen as just a snapshot. They are a documentation of an experience that I hopes come through in the images that are just not on the same level or perceived to be on the same level as a snapshot. Now, I myself know that I don't photograph that way, but I understand that we're all people of different values and different perceptions and different mindsets, that images that are not seen by many people may be seen as snapshots, but I hope there's something in the images that I take that can be seen as above and beyond not only the average snapshot, but to be considered special and unique in portraying a series of events or a person or an idea.
Love it. Next photo.
Okay. Oh, that's the kid. We'll go and now here's the thing about some of the times, right? This was again one of those images I took back in 2008, and from time to time I forget to record the names of the DJs, the guest DJs, the opener, the headliner. For the most part, I'll know the headliner. Sometimes I just won't know the opener, and this is one of those scenes. So if anyone out there knows this brother, please let me know. I just don't remember or recall the brother's name. But
So
again, I love being in there, and I love being accepted by them and understanding that I want to get them while they're doing their craft. I want to record them doing the craft. So the less they're looking at me and looking at and paying attention to what they're doing, the actual better it is for me. Don't look at me. You look at what you're doing, and just don't worry about me.
So you've been photographing Coney Island for 20 years.
20 years.
What keeps you coming back?
It's everything that we've spoken about up till now. Everything I've said. It's the energy. It's the people. It's the community. It's my love of photography. Photography has been, and as far as I'm concerned, always will be the first love that I had. My history goes back to when I was 12. I was introduced to photography, okay? By a mentor of mine. He doesn't like to be called a mentor. He just prefers to be called a teacher. which is fine because he actually wound up teaching for public schools. But we were taught not about the camera first. Surprisingly, he introduced us to the darkroom first. So we were taught how to process film and how to print a negative in an enlarger. And here we are at 12 years old being taught how to do that. And if you've ever, for those photographers out there, and for those who just know about photography, if you've ever seen a black and white photograph being developed in the darkroom, when you put a white piece of paper in a developer and all of a sudden the image appears after about 35 to 45 seconds, at 12 years old, that's magic, okay? And so that's what led me on this lifelong passion in photography. The love of music came later. So actually about 3 to 4 years later, to be exact, when my love of music came in. Oh man, see, this is one of those things where I say, when they go low, I go low. And when they go high, I go high. When they move left, I'm following them every step of the way. Again, it's almost very similar in gesture to the other brother with the fans over his head, but this is definitely different. And of course, as you see, he's in the middle of a cipher. Just and the exuberance on his face, it's just that's the epitome of what I'm there for. Okay, this is why I keep coming back. All right, everyone's reaction, everyone's emotions, everyone's ability to emote is different. No two actions are going to be the same. No two people are going to react the same way to the same song. They're either going to be in their zone and not worried about what other people are doing. So, that saying, that's like nobody's watching. Well, here's the epitome of it, right? And that's who I want to catch, right? That's who I always want to catch. Now, there are those times when you may want to photograph, the people and post people and stuff like that, but that's actually not what I was there for. And as I've come to know the people and become friends with them and associates and acquaintances with them and a part of the community, I still prefer to photograph the action. Okay, if you know me and you pull me over to take a photograph, I'll take that photograph. I'll even share it with you. It'll be part of Coney Island House, but I probably most likely won't put it in the series as a part of a presentation, because I still think it sort of puts it in a little bit of a personal aspect of it. Unless it holds some type of emotion or reaction that is reminiscent of the action that's within the dance vibe. So again, I think a lot of these photographs, it's kind of interesting that a lot of these are from 2008. And again, black and white with the medium format camera. Again, manual focusing, probably most likely at f4, so relatively wide open. So I can create this shallow depth of focus. There's that one array again, this time as a photograph. Oh man, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think I've mentioned my top 5, but again, we'll just add it to that top 5. All right. Oh my sister. Oh my goodness, Sister Spider. If you want to know, this is Spider. She's on Instagram. _S_Y_P_Spider underscores. Man, that's just priceless. I believe she was voguing at the time. I think you could tell by the movement she was voguing. Yeah, she's seen this photograph and she loves it. I've shared it with her. Now, see, this is where it comes in. This is where it's just not about the house community. It's about those people who are passing by, or those people who come by, hear the vibe, want to share in the energy. This is not, again, this is a wedding party. You don't, or you make that out. All right. And they're in the middle of a cipher, and they were invited in to share in, for not only the community to share in their wedding party, but for also the wedding party to share in the vibes of the community. So just you know, and you couldn't get this anywhere else. I'm sorry, you just can't. Right? This is irreplaceable. I mean, any outside venue you want to go to, I don't think you're going to get this, right? Because the draw is the Coney Island part of it, and the music and the house part of it come together and create this mesh that is so unique. And I know I keep saying, but I don't think I can say it enough. And I think, again, this is another one of those things that keeps me coming back. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, let's just go and say that I think 2008 was a prime year. You know, it's got to be a prime year. You know, man. And this is at the beginning of the season, but it doesn't take away from the fact that when you do it, when you're hustling, and you know, and again, this was couples, but they were going on and off with partners. I mean, there were like 3 or 4 partners coming in and out. All right. And they would change up every, you know, couple minutes. And I don't believe they were dancing to a hustle type song. They were actually dancing the house. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. I remember this, man, and I remember they were not dancing to, you know, salsa. They were dancing to a house cut. But his gesture, his reaction, his emotion, you know, oh man, priceless, priceless. Here's that mesh again, you know, and everybody's in there, black, white, you know, Latino, Russian. I mean, you name it, we're all there. You know, I mean, I don't like to use that melting pot term, but I think it's just that amazing human salad that we all get, you know, to melt into, and it's just indicative of it. And the uniqueness of the people that show up at Coney Island are there.
Talk to me about the receiving end of the photograph. And what I mean by that is, how do you want fans to react to your work? How should your work exist in the world?
If I had my way, I'll answer the second question first. If I had my way in the world, the images would be in a book. And I would, and that has, to be honest with you, that has always actually been the ultimate goal. You know, from, I can't say in 2004 I conceived of a book, no, because I think I didn't have enough images to create a book. I don't even think it was on my mind. I think somewhere around 2008, 2010 is when I said, okay, you've got enough here that could not only do a book, but an exhibit, you know, a fine art exhibit, because I think these are worthy of a fine art exhibit. Whether that's indoors, outdoors, at the finest galleries, at the, you know, nonprofit galleries, whatever, you know, it just has to be out there in a paper form, whether that's on a print, and hopefully it'll be a print that I made, so that I can finesse the print to the way I like it. I think the hardest part would be dwindling it down to a manageable level. Because over the years, it's kind of interesting, because when I think about the number of images that I've acquired over the years, I could have more than I thought, but I don't have as much as I believe I want to. Let me put it this way. Over the years, since I've been shooting film, and film costs money, and that's a limited resource for me, I wasn't able to always photograph as much as I could. So let me give everyone a for instance. Say for instance, when I photograph with a medium format camera, a roll of film in that camera is 10 frames, just 10. Each roll of film in the early days cost about $1.98, right? So, 6 rolls of film, that's $12, not bad, right? But then you have to get the chemistry to process it, right? That costs money. You have to have all these surrounding equipment in order to process it with, the canisters and all that stuff. Of course, that's all a one-time thing, but that's all built into the cost. And so when I went out there, I was as economical as I could be when I was shooting film. So I would bring no more than 6 rolls of film. So that means I would come away with no more than 60 photographs. And so I was limited, and I had to be very picky about what I was photographing and when I photographed and what I was photographing. So what that meant was that between the early years of maybe 2004, 2005, and 2015, I didn't shoot as much as I wanted to. So therefore, the number of images that I actually created was, offhand, let me give you a number of 6,000 images over that period of time. Now, in the digital world, that's a penance. That's a small amount. But in the film world, that's a hell of a lot, right? And especially if what you're doing is you're being very picky about the images to choose. So if I'm going in and I intend to shoot 60 photographs, that means that I want to come away with no less than 30 acceptable images, if not 30 keepers, right? And if I could come out with 10 to 15 really good shots, that's a great day, right? If I maintain the focus, right? Because sometimes you won't get the focus. Sometimes if it was blurry, and so my setup, the way I set up is, so we're getting deeper and deeper into a couple of things, but I'll just keep going. I shoot in aperture priority, so that means that I'm setting the aperture, and the shutter speed is being set automatically by the camera. So if I'm shooting, and I usually shoot 400 speed film, and I don't push it. So I'm shooting 400 at box speed. Sometimes I'm overexposing it by a quarter of a stop. So that means I'm shooting 400 ISO at maybe 320, right? And so because I just want to give it a little bit more oomph in the midtones and maybe just even more in the shadows. So I'll shoot that way. So that way I'm shooting a little bit slower than I can be, but on a sunny day, it's fine. On an overcast day, it gets a little bit tricky, but it's manageable. And again, so those are the considerations that as a photographer you have to make. So those are the considerations for film. Considerations for digital are different, right? It's as big as your card can be. And so I became less specific about, or less particular about the number of images, because you can just go and edit as much as you can. You can basically shoot 300 to 400 images on an SD card. So it didn't matter that much. So when I compared the amount of images I shot on film to the amount of images I shot digitally, it's almost, I'd probably say I came away with maybe 3 times as many digital files in a 5-year period versus the 13, 14 years I was shooting film. So those are the things. And if you could refresh my memory about the first question, I could have lost that way.
You got it all. Let's go to the next photograph.
Yeah, this was it here.
Perfect. What advice would you give to the 16-year-old you that's starting and they went to Coney Island with their parents and think, oh, this is cool, I want to take photographs? What advice would you give them?
Okay, first, get your parents' permission. Right. Right. Well, okay. So let's take the obvious question, right? You've gotten your parents' permission and you have a camera, right? Uh, my first thing to do would probably introduce yourself to the DJ, if you can, right? Introduce yourself to the DJs. Say what you're there for. You sort of get the vibe, photograph, smile, and be open to the possibilities of what's going on around you. Be open-minded, right? And I know this may be difficult for maybe I don't know how difficult it is for a 16-year-old to sort of put away any biases they may have, but I think they can. I think they're intelligent enough to do so. But sort of take whatever you've learned about bad emotions and put that to the side. Think positive thoughts. Look at the people and see what they're doing. Remember how it is when you dance yourself to music, and understand that that is the exact same thing, if not similar, to what these people are feeling now. And is that what you're there to photograph? Are you there to photograph the energy in the music, or are you there to photograph the people that are there, not necessarily the energy in the music? Because those are not going to be the same thing. So if you're there to photograph the energy in the music, then introduce yourself to the DJ and continue on what I said. If you're there just to meet the people that are engaged in the community, then you just introduce yourself to the people who seem to be the house heads and just say hi. My name is so-and-so, and I'm just here to learn. You know, I'm here to engage and to become one with the community and to just document what I'm seeing in my own way, so I can tell the story in my way. Oh man, yeah. Oh man. So I guess we're getting to a point where there have been guests who show up from time to time. DJs and promoters bring on people, and there have been a few times when some well-known people in the house community came by. Dawn Tolman being one of them. So Dawn came to definitely sing one of her songs and again engage with the community. I don't remember the song she was singing at that time. Again, this was this particular one. This is from 2009 when she came to the boardwalk to give us some props. Again, this is where the people, those who come to the beach for the beach, engage with the music on the boardwalk. Donna Edwards. Mm, he's a very unique character. I haven't seen him in a couple of years. I don't know his name, but he's eccentric, but he's welcomed and he is part of the community, was part of the community. I haven't seen him in years, so I don't know what happened to him or whatever. But I mean, his essence is there, Robin S. It's funny because this was back in 2010, and so a couple of days ago I was like, "Is that Robin? I'm not sure. Is that Robin?" So I had to go and look at Robin's Facebook feed and things like that. Said, "Robin, is that Robin?" Yeah, that's Robin. Gosh, man, because this is 14 years ago. You know, people have changed 14 years. Yeah, so we can keep going on, but I love this because this is, again, a wedding party comes in and gets himself inside the community. They don't know each other. They just met on the dance floor maybe 5 minutes before this, but yet their relationship, the way they're relating to each other, man, it's just, to open yourself up, being this, communicating in this way is just elegant.
I want to
man,
wrap up the next 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
let's pick your best photographs for the next 10 minutes and let's like cycle through. We'll go through as many as you want to the next 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So we would be great. Okay. Johnny de la Rivera, Deuce, Rock and Soul, Ray Vasquez. I'm sorry, I don't know the two guys in the back. Leroy Burgess. Again, we're back at Soul Summit. Yeah. When they go down, I go down with them.
I love that. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, I follow them. I mean, it's because you're maintaining eye contact, right? I mean, she's working it, and I'm like, we're in the vibe together. Okay, we're in the zone. Okay, she's seeing me, I'm seeing her. And we're like, okay, we're one. Rita and Johnny. Another sister out there. I don't know what the circumstance about this were, but I had to assume they were sorority sisters or something. I don't know. Yeah. What I'm looking for in photographs is something that's above and beyond. And when you see something like this, and some people can dismiss it as just another photograph, but I think there's something else that comes through. There's the essence. I mean, you don't see the full face, but there's this vibe that comes off. I mean, the rag, the hat, the emotion, the energy. I hope it comes through. Yeah. Again, I like to be in it. So here I am in it. I hope you can feel it. Yeah. Soul Summit. Oh man. There. Yeah. I'm speechless on this one. Because if you can't feel what he's feeling, if you can't feel what he's feeling, wow, man, check yourself.
It's magic.
Okay. All right. We can stop here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your work. And then
You're very welcome, brother.
the last question, do you take requests? Can people book you? And if so, how can they get in contact with you?
You can get in contact with me. You can get in contact with me on Instagram, Facebook, or actually on my my website. So if you just go to KennethNelsonPhotography.com, KENNETH, NELSON, photography.com, you can go to my website there, and that'll link you to my Instagram feeds and my email contacts as well. Or you can go to Instagram directly, Photo Ken Arts, as you can see on the screen, and contact me there. If you are interested in any of the images I produced, they could be made available. Right now, I'm not able to book anything due to some circumstances, but I'm able to share and actually license the work that you've seen. Or if you know of anyone who's interested in producing a book of the work, then connect with me there, because that would be a great help. Ultimately, that again is the ultimate thing that I'd like to do, is put this in a book, or the least of it, put it in an exhibit, so that it's not only in my computer, but it's actually out there in the world. And I think if there's one thing I want to say, is that putting the images out there in the world, I believe, is the ultimate goal of any photographer with aspirations. For those photographers who say they just want to do it for themselves, I don't begrudge them, but I think there's a certain level of self-confidence and the need to show the world what you've seen and to share it with other people, because I don't think they're meant to be seen just by me. And that's part of the reason why I put that out there in 2022. And I actually did produce a one, when Apple first came out and produced their self-publishing books, I did produce a self-published book, just an edition of one that I put out there. And I actually brought it around with me that time. I think it was 2010. And it didn't have the expansive nature of what I have now, but it did show up to them what my concepts were. So if I were to look at that as a dummy book for the future, it was a good starting point, and that's what fed my need to actually put it out there even further. So that's definitely my ultimate goal. So contact me through my website, KennethNelsonPhotography.com.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. Peace.
All right. All right. Peace.